Welcome. This is going to be a quick tutorial on how to install the DHT22 temperature sensor on the Raspberry Pi 2. It'll probably work with the other ones, but I gotta warn you right away. This video is going to go very fast, and that's just because I'm taking advantage of the fact that you can pause it. Okay, so we're going to break it down into 6 steps. Step 1 is the sensor libraries. Then we're going to test the sensor. Then we're going to set up the database. We're going to configure the sensor, schedule it, and then set up the web server. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Of course, the first thing we do is we launch the browser. Now, we installed iceweasel, so you can actually probably run this on any browser. It doesn't really matter. We don't really use it for too much yet. Right now, what we're going to do is we're just going to go look for the first package we need to install, and that is the sensor libraries, and these are actually from Adafruit. So we're going to go look for Adafruit here, see if we can find their sensor libraries. No, I don't think we're going to find them like this. They've got way too much stuff. They're pretty prolific. They're pretty awesome. So instead, we're going to search for Adafruit Python DHT. There it is. All we really need is the address up there in the address field. Okay, we're going to need that later on. But now that we have it, we go ahead and open up a terminal. And in here, we do the one thing that you always do before you do any software installs. And that is, we run sudo apt-get update to make sure that we have all our repositories and everything correct, updated. And then second, we run sudo apt-get upgrade. Okay. Like I told you, I'm just sped everything up here, so I didn't want to save it, waste too much of your time. Okay. And again, you need to look over something. Just go ahead and pause this, okay? So now, after this, we go ahead and type in the install instructions. And again, pause it if you need to see this more carefully. We go to sudo apt-get install, build essential, Python dev, and Python openSSL. Now, whenever you see that little L and the S there, you should already know this. That's just if there's no space there, just assume there's no space unless you see a very obvious space. That's always going to be a limitation of terminals, and there will be times when you just can't. You won't know if it's a mistake. You put in a space when you couldn't. Just remember that, okay? So here, this time I opened it, but later on I won't. So just remember that little idiosyncrasy in most terminals. Okay, so here we go. Okay, now once we do that, we go ahead and let's go to the CD. Let's go to the HomePy library. Yeah, oh, we're already there. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and clone that library that we just looked up. Okay, so we got git clone https with the Adafruit Python DHT. Since we have it copied, we can just paste it. And then enter. And it's going to copy it into the Pi directory. If you're not familiar with Git, it's a great program. As a matter of fact, if you don't have, if you get an error where it says that you can't find it, it doesn't find Git, it just means you need to install it. You should already know. Just whenever you don't have something, just sudo apt-get install and then the name of the program. Once we're here, we go ahead and go into the Adafruit directory. I use the little trick there by typing the star. Anyway, we're looking in here, and okay. So now we're going to run the Python setup and the install with the Python tools that we just installed. Okay. And now we're done. So now we go to the step 2. We're going to test the temperature sensor. Okay. Now, once again, I repeat, pause the video. Okay. So. Okay, so we're in the Adafruit directory here, and we're going to go into the examples subdirectory. And in the example subdirectory, there is the Adafruit DHT.py. Now, if you did not plug your temperature sensor correctly, you're going to get an error message. And I'll show you right here what it's going to look like. Okay. So any kind of mistake you make in your wiring, yeah, it's going to fail to get the reading. If you do it right, it's going to give you the temperature. By the way, when it fails, it's going to take a long time. Okay. So once you're successful, let's go to set up our database by typing. Ooh, did you see that mistake I made? Okay, I'll go fix it right now. Okay, sudo apt-get install, and we're going to install MySQL server and the Python MySQL. And okay, so it's going to go ahead and run it. And it's going to ask you for a password. Now, please save your passwords somewhere, and make sure that you don't lose that paper or whatever. Too many people forget this stuff, and then I just, I have no sympathy for you. You should have known this the moment you picked up a keyboard years ago. Okay, you're going to be doing this a few times, so save those passwords. Okay, so here we go ahead and run the command MySQL user root password blank, and then a host, and -h is the local host. Okay, so that it's going to then ask us for our password. That should be the one that you just entered. Okay. Now that we're here, we start our first SQL commands. Really simple. The first one you always do, we're going to create a database called temperatures. Okay. And then we're going to select this temperature database. Okay. Make sure you get that response to make sure that you did it right. And now that we created it, we have to select it. We do that by typing use temperatures, the same database. Okay. So it looks like everything is good. Okay. So let's go ahead and create our next account, because as you know, you should not be logging in as root, just like in Linux. So we're going to create a user account called logger at localhost. Now pay attention to the fact that I have single quotes that separate my @ symbol. Okay, if you don't do this, it won't work. Okay, and we're going to identify, and we're going to give it another password. Okay, so this is a different password. It says password. So when you try to log in, type the word password. Don't go making a mistake others have made. And try to type some other password. Okay. So, and we're going to grant him all the privileges, okay, on the table temperatures. And the temperature database. There you go. You got all the privileges. And of course, it's always good security protocol that once we've granted our privileges, we flush the privileges down the toilet. Okay, so once we're done, we go ahead and quit out and log back in as the logger. So, quit already. It really doesn't matter. I'm just making them in all caps to let you see what are the SQL commands. Okay, so let's go ahead and log in. So MySQL user logger, password blank, host, localhost. Okay, and then we enter the word password, not something else. And in here, we go ahead and we grab the temperatures database. If we typed everything correctly previously, it should be quite happy to give us access to the temperatures database. So we use the temperatures. Okay. And then in here, we're going to go ahead and create our first of two tables. Okay. And this one, okay, so we go ahead and type this. Date and time. Oh no, I just remembered. Oh my god, I really made a dumb mistake. So at this point, whatever I typed in the terminal, ignore it, and instead look up at the top. The correct command is right there. Okay, yeah, I know, I feel terrible. But the problem was that I was actually typing the word single, which is means nothing. So I made that big mistake. Here, this second command, okay, this is the second table, and this one is called the mail send log. The other one was the temperature data. Okay. This one, you can type what is in the terminal, but just in case, I also added that command to the top of the screen up there. Okay, so let's go ahead and there we go. Bar part 10 semicolon. Okay, now once we're done creating the tables, we're going to go ahead and select from them. Okay, just making sure that they're there. Okay, if they weren't, we'd get an error here. So once we're done here, we're going to go ahead and restart the SQL server so that it will restart with those tables. And here we go ahead and look up the DHT22 temperature logger. We copy the address. We make sure we're in the Pi directory. And we run the GitHub command with that very same address. Not the one that we did before. Okay, so now that we have copied this program, let's go ahead and go into the DHT22 folder. And there's the logger program. So before we do it though, we need to configure the JSON file. Now the JSON file has the configuration settings, but before we do even that, we gotta set up a Gmail account. Okay, so you do not want to set this up with your own personal info because the password is going to be stored right in the logger file, and that's just really bad security. So I just set up whatever. This is going to be the account. So this account is what's going to email me. Okay. So let's go ahead then. Once we've created the Gmail account, we can continue. Okay. So let's in here. These are the settings. Your password. If you changed any of these, of course, you will change them. You can also set your trigger limits. And we only use one sensor, but this we can actually set up multiples. Here, I typed in the email where it's sending from, and the email that it's going to mail to. The password, that was the password. Yeah, you can go try it. I changed it already. Anyways, this is the sensor type, which is the DHT22, and we put 1 for only one sensor in the sensor amount. Now, once again, pause this video so you'll see those settings once more, okay? Because we're about to get out. Actually, before we leave, I do want to change the sensor low limit. Okay, since we're not really ever going to see 0 degrees here in California. 5, maybe. Remember, these are Celsius settings, by the way. So keep that in mind. 35, yeah, that's kind of warm. It's not super hot, so okay. I think that's all I really wanted to change here. We quit out of Vim, and we're going to go ahead and test that the logger is actually saving the data. So we're going to run it. There it goes, and we're going to go check this SQL server. And we're going to see if the tables are there. Ah, there we go. Now I have 2 lines because this is the second time I did it. Okay, so you should only see 1 line. Okay. So, let's see. We're good to go. Now we're going to run the crontab. Okay. We go to the bottom here, and we're going to set it for 15 minutes and nothing else, and then the command. So then we type 15. Okay. Start. And then type that. And then script that we got to run. There we go. We escape out, we save, enter. Okay. Now, just to be a little on the OCR side, we run an update again. And now we're going to get to the next stage, final stage. It's going to be a little complicated, but first we install the Apache PHP server. Now here I made another dumb mistake. I know. I am quite retarded. Sorry about that. I don't know, maybe I didn't have my coffee. Okay, so we set up the correct command. And once it's done, we're going to go ahead and restart the Apache server. As you notice, it looks like it says something about errors, but as long as you see the same screen there, you'll be good. And we're going to go ahead and test to see that it's running. So if we type in 127.0.0.1, it works. We're good to go. Your Raspberry Pi is now working as a web server. Yay. Okay, so next, we're going to go into the www directory, the directory where that actual file is stored. Okay. Now, I'm going to post a file here that you can copy and paste. So you don't have to type all of this. There it is. Okay, just copy that link, paste it into your browser, and once you're in the text editor, we just paste the code. Super simple. I didn't want to torture you with so much code. Instead, I'll let you just look it over. There's some cool settings here. It's a PHP file. What it really is it's just going to be the file that you're going to see on your web browser. There's a little more to it, but basically, now since we don't want to see the index HTML file, we get rid of it. We run temperatures and look at that. We've got our table. Okay, so it looks like everything here is good to go. Now once again, okay, one last thing. Now, I was almost going to upload this, but I remembered we need to change it so that it gives you your readings in Fahrenheit. Those of you who are using it in places that use exclusively the metric system can probably end now, and you're good to go. But for the rest of us that are still using backward units, we got to change this. So in order to change this, we have to go into the DHT22 TemperatureLogger Python file. Okay, so let's go ahead and go there. Okay, and go sudo vim 22logger.py. Let's go to the bottom of this page. Okay, now, our friend here actually did us a great favor. He already set it up for us. Okay, so the only thing we need to do is remove the comment from this one. Okay. So all we do, notice, and do not make a mistake here. You make a mistake, you'll be a very unhappy person. Okay. So we go ahead and we just remove that right there. Do not move it. If you move this, remember Python is very sensitive about these tab spaces. And up here in line 392, I added one. If you need to, pause the video. 2 simple moves, but you must do them perfectly. Otherwise, you're going to have a bad time. Once we're done, we go ahead and we write and quit. And then we go into the MySQL. Password. And we use temperatures. And as you can tell, our number below just switched. So yeah, it's 82 degrees in here. It is kind of warm. I hadn't paid attention. Well, it's also because the the Raspberry is right in front of my other computer, so that's probably what's making it so warm. 39. So anyway, we're done here. Go ahead and quit. There's our update. Give it a few minutes and the rest should change, but if nothing else, actually I think it's going to stay this way. Okay, it's only going to update what has been since you last booted up. So later we will deal with a couple of kinks and quirks, but you should also check out the codes, check out those scripts, and you can play around with it and see what else you can find out. So as you can tell, we're good to go here. Every 15 minutes it's going to give us a reading, so by tomorrow it should give me a bunch of readings. If the temperature goes too high, it should send you an email. As a matter of fact, you might want to test it just to make sure that the email works. You might want to set the trigger a little bit lower. Remember that that's in our JSON file, so just go ahead and check that out. Drop the temperature and see if it emails you. I did. I was getting a bunch of emails just yesterday, so everything works on mine. Okay, you got any questions, let me know. Okay, until next time, take care.